got hooked up because I was having a big question about the mules versus water versus hot springs. It is mules. Even in the oral Torah, it is mules. And the interesting part is Tizvan, I can't remember how to pronounce, who if you go back to chapter 20 is referred to as Anah's brother. But then when you go to the 24 on chapter 36, it says Tizvan as father. And in oral Torah, Tizvan supposedly had relationships with the mother, his mother, which produced Anah. So that would make Tizvan Anah's father, brother, cousin, whatever. You cannot beat how can you beat the Bible over like Peyton Place? I mean, come on. Not even close. So, anyways, and thus the inbreeding, hybridizing, the breedings that aren't supposed to be, and the mules, that's where it follows through. So, and he explained, Rabbi Moshe explained it as a misplaced vowel, because they didn't have vowels in the original writing. The little dots and da-da-das came afterwards, and it was a misplaced vowel that led to that. So, I thought that was quite interesting. So, now on to chapter 39. We have Joseph, who's been taken down to Egypt. He's been sold. And chapter 39, verse 1. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, and an Egyptian, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. What I find curious here is that they sold the brother Joseph for 20 shekels. And everything I can find in the Bible about servants and sales and slaves has them for sale for 30 shekels. Even from the time of Exodus, where I found this, and I forgot to write the verse, but it's in Exodus, all the way to the time of Jesus, even, where it was 30 shekels. So I have to wonder I find it hard to believe that the traders would buy somebody for 30 shekels or 20 shekels just to sell them for the same amount. So I'm wondering if, so my question for myself is, did they sell them for 20 to make it worthwhile to the Ishmaelites to buy and take Joseph all the way to Egypt to sell him?
They gotta make a profit.
It
wouldn't be even Steven.
So I found that intriguing to think about. So I'll just let you. Bottom line, Joseph was sold as a slave, and we go on to the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man. And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all he did to prosper in his hand. Now, we know that the Egyptians were noted for polytheism, and I'm sitting here forgetting to do this. They were noted for polytheism, and whatever is with Joseph, his master sees that he is blessed, and it blesses the master also. God is giving serious incentive to keep Joseph alive and favored. And even the Bible backs this up. So Joseph found favor in his sight and served him. Then he made him overseer of his house and all he had put under his authority. Somehow I'm sensing also a major change in Joseph. As before with his brother, he was hated, he was a tattletale, and much like Joseph here, Joseph, he is liked like his father liked him. His father favored him. Now Potiphar, or the master, favors him. So it was from the time that he had made him overseer of his house and all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was on all he had in the house and in the field. Thus he left all that he had in Joseph's hand. He did not know what he had except for the bread he ate. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. So now we have two key pieces of information. One, the master trusted Joseph so much, he didn't even keep track of anything he had in the house, except for what he ate. And the next, that's some serious trust.
Yes, it is.
And the second makes note of Joseph's appearance. So, and it came to pass after these things that the master's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph and said, "Lie with me." But he refused, and he said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has committed all that he has to my hand." So, wow, the master's wife is making sexual advances, and Joseph's not going for it. He even lets her know that he has respect for his position, and she isn't worth the chance of displeasing the master. Maybe Joseph learned a heavy lesson about upsetting people before he got thrown into the cistern. And then he goes on to tell her, "There is no one greater in this house than I, nor has he kept back anything from me but you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" So here he explains how much trust has been put into him, and that there is nothing in the house that he isn't in charge of except the master's wife. But this time he says it in a question form. To lay with the master's wife would be a sin against God. So remember, they're polytheists. So she's like, well, wait a minute. That your God is more important than me? She's thinking an item. Pretty much. So it was, as she spoke to Joseph day by day, he did not heed her, to lie with her or to be with her. Wow, really? Here we go again. Stuff that you cannot make up, and now you know where they come up with a lot of stories for the soap operas. One Life to Live has nothing on this. But it happened about this time when Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was inside. And she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and ran outside. Oops, we have a new problem now. And so it was, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled outside, that she called to the men of her house and spoke to them, saying, "See, he has brought in to us a Hebrew to mock us. He came to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice." To mock? Seriously? Can we say this woman sounds a bit vindictive when she doesn't get what she wants? I have to wonder if she viewed Joseph mightier than her husband. But he doesn't give her what she wants, and now she's going to make him pay and make up a story. I mean, he's there all the time. He's in charge of everything. So.
But she's embarrassed because he's refusing her, and she's going to get even with him.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, how dare you? And it happened when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled and went outside. So she kept his garment with her until his master came home.
It seems to me, of course, she cooked this thing up in advance. This was all premeditated, that all the men were out of the house, and she happened to be in there alone when she knew he was coming. I mean, this was a setup from the get-go.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. It's like, how convenient. Well, nobody's here now, will you? Nope.
But when she cried out to the men, they apparently heard her and came.
Yeah, they didn't really.
Didn't she scream?
Yeah, she cried out with a loud voice. They also, with everything being stone buildings and pretty much no windows, I mean, we can get a good echo going out there down the hallway. So I'm sure they were obviously close enough to hear. I mean, but it just, so she spoke to him with words like these, saying, "The Hebrew servant whom you brought to us came to me to mock me." So it happened, as I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment and fled outside. Okay, so obviously Joseph has been there long enough to have his master see that he is blessed, and that he does and is entrusted him with everything in the home. And now all of a sudden, he's supposedly trying to sleep with his wife. And mocked? Does this make any sense at all? Maybe she felt mocked because he wouldn't lie with her, and that God, in a polytheist world, that she wasn't more important. Or that the gods that, or at least the gods that she's used to. And why would he leave his garment? Things make you wonder. So it was when his master heard the words which his wife spoke to him, saying, "Your servant did this to me after this manner," and his anger was aroused. Some of the things that I've read says it actually makes you wonder, what was he more mad about? That he has to do something with Joseph because of his wife, or did he really believe what his wife said about someone he had entrusted everything he had? From everything I can find, it sounds a little bit more that Potiphar may have been more upset with his wife, because now he's got to put somebody who's been taking everything, blessing him in the process, and now has to put him, generally they kill him off for something like that. So, but Joseph's master took him and put him into prison, a place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in prison. Now, technically we can say it's back in the cistern, so to speak, but this time he didn't do anything to be there. Not like when he flaunted his dad's favor in front of his brothers, tattletaling on them to their dad, bringing, bad news. But no matter what is surprising is he was tossed into prison and not killed for what he was accused of. So God is protecting him. Prisons back then were a different part of the house. It wasn't like they had prisons like now. So in order to be put into a prison, you had to be thought well up enough not to be just off with the head, sorted, whatever. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy, and gave him favor in sight of the keeper of the prison. Who was the keeper of the guards? Let's see. Let's go back to Potiphar, captain of the guard. Imagine that one. So, and the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners who were in prison. Whatever they did there, it was his doing.
Don't you suppose Potiphar put a bug in that jailer's ear? Told him this guy can be trusted?
Yeah, and and Potiphar's in charge of the guards.
Yeah.
So, I just have to, so this is, and here's why I keep thinking what transpired with the master's wife, because he's here, is being now entrusted with all the prisoners in prison. So, yeah, it just stands to reason that Potiphar said, hey, look, I have to do something because, he was accused and he's a slave, low man on the totem pole, and I got to do something. I can't.
Pacify his wife.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was a verification that he suspected his wife of this
Made it up.
treasonous thing
Yes,
all along.
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have put him in prison and would have killed him.
Right.
Putting him in prison.
And put him in charge of it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So the keeper of the prison did not look into anything that was under Joseph's authority. Sounds like the same thing that was going on when he was taking care of everything at the house.
I trust you.
Because the Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. So here again, not only entrusted, but no matter what Joseph is doing, it is with the Lord's blessing, and the Lord makes it prosperous. So now, let's review a little on Joseph. Was something he's done 2 times that has really upset his brother, got rebuked by his father, his dreams, and how they were interpreted. So it came to pass after these things that the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their lord, the king of Egypt, and Pharaoh was angry with his 2 officers, the chief butler and the chief baker. Okay, baker and butler, more like cupbearer, to make your master. And a cupbearer to make your master or Pharaoh upset would be the wine didn't taste good, it
Just find fault with everything.
it was sour, I'm having a bad day. The baker could have left, didn't clean the flour out well enough, and we crunched our tooth on a little rock or something that, wasn't suited for a king.
Just found fault with everything.
Yeah. So he put them into custody in the house of the captain of the guard. And here we said, in the house of the captain of the guard, in the prison, the place where Joseph was confined. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, so they were in custody for a while. Then the butler, cupbearer, and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in prison, had a dream, both of them. Each man's dream in one night, each man's dream with its own interpretation. And Joseph came into them that morning and looked at them and saw that they were sad. So he asked Pharaoh's officers who were with him in custody of his Lord's house, saying, "Why do you look so sad today?" And they said to him, "We each have had a dream, and there is no interpreter of it." So Joseph said to them, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell them to me, please." Then the chief butler, cupbearer, told his dream to Joseph and said to him, "Behold, in my dream was a vine before me. And in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded. It blossoms shot forth, and its clusters brought forth ripe grapes. Then Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand." Joseph said to them, "This is the interpretation of it. 3 branches are 3 days. Now within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your place, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand according to the former manner when you were his butler, cupbearer. But remember me when it is well with you, and please show kindness to me. Make mention of me to Pharaoh, and get me out of this house. For indeed, I was stolen away from the land of the Hebrews, and also I have done nothing here that they should put me into the dungeon." When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said to Joseph, "It was also in my dream, and there were 3 white baskets on my head." Oops. I'm sorry, okay. Sorry. It was in my head. There were 3 white baskets on my head. In the uppermost basket, there were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, and the birds ate out of the baskets on my head. So Joseph answered and said, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head from you and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat the flesh from you."
Fun.
Now it came to pass on the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast for all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler, cupbearer, to his butlership, and he placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to him. Yet the chief butler did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. So, all right. The cupbearer, we pretty much know he's to taste everything, make sure it's according, not poisoned. That's not kind of a job I want. Taking your life into your own hands. Because if somebody's trying to kill the king, guess what?
You're gonna go first. You get the first taste.
Yeah, not on top of my job list of things to do. The other thing is the baker. Just think if you do not cook something right or didn't get all the gravel out of the food or flour, and we know that they both landed in prison, but we also do see where Joseph says that he too did nothing to be in prison over. So maybe the Pharaoh, aka king, was just having a bad day. But God put him there for a reason. And also, they were there for a year before they had their dreams. I also have to wonder how close at this point Joseph is now to the age 30. You're still considered young and a lad until you're about 30 years old. Then they start taking a little bit more heed to your word because you've been around a little bit. And we know he was 17 when he was picked up. So we're looking at least probably about a span of 13, close to 13 years here. When we also know that Joseph knows about dreams. Another thing, he gives all credit now to God. He didn't come around going, "Look what I dreamed, look what I did, look what I did." No. First thing he tells them is, you're Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell them to me, please. So 3 days, we got a vine. The one who has the vine lives. Where else do we find a vine for living? And yeah, the other one, basket with bread, gets broken and taken off. So here again, we've got I am the bread, I am the vine. So I find that quite interesting, the comparison. So God created, God designed, God is the one that we are to seek and give all credit to for anything we are gifted with. Astronomy is good. When traveling, pretty much the ships at sea had the stars and the rising and setting sun for directions. Astrology is of Satan. That's opening big doors to evil. So don't look. You look to God. God will give it to you if it's not in the book, or if it's not of God. God doesn't come and give you a funny feeling and then you play guessing games. God does not. Okay, the devil also comes as light. Lucifer, meaning light. If you are getting anxiety and it's like, oh, I feel that I need to go over here and take care of something. Oh, I need to feel over here and take care of something. Oh, I get a calling over here. Oh, I get a calling over. This is not of God. This is of the devil distracting you. So now we have some foundation where Joseph is setting himself in God, and look what he's going through. It's not stopping him from being falsely accused. It's not stopping him from being thrown in the dungeon. But no matter where he goes, no matter what's going on, he is turned fully to God and he prospers. Maybe not where he wants to be, but he's prospering. Can we relate that in anything that we do? We may be going through some tough times.
But don't lose faith.
Don't lose your trust. Don't lose your faith. So understanding God's messages, when you pray and you give your understanding to God, this is good. But don't do things that alter, that summon up spirits. Ouija boards, throw them away, burn them. You know, but there's this new age stuff. I've been listening to Billy Crone on his new age, and it is mind-boggling how much new age stuff is being slipped in to churches.
You're getting feedback, so I don't know if it's the speaker right in front of you. No, the speaker right here in front of you.
This is always, anyways. So it's we got to be careful. Pray that it's God. Pray that that's the message that you're getting.
Because they're doing it so slightly, we don't understand, we don't see it.
Yeah, and especially when it's like, I don't know, does anybody remember Shirley MacLaine?
Yes.
Out on a Limb?
Yes.
Her and her guru standing on the beach saying, I am God.
Yes.
That ushered in New Age that went to another person who she has over 2 million people watching her, and that would be, yeah,
Yes. Who
New Age
grew up
Baptist. Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah. So be careful, because if you're having to do mantra if you're getting led into doing, this, reflexology, it's great if you're doing it for muscle. There's people out there that do it for spiritual, let's get in touch next realm.
Well, that Scientology church is, that's how they
Yeah.
get people in, and then they get in so deep they can't get out. It's scary.
So
It is, it's scary.
whatever happened to Joseph when he got thrown into that cistern, that was a wake-up call, because we see something quite different out of him, even though God prospered him beforehand. Oh, another little tidbit note. When I was looking up at the Shabbat Bible, the coat of many colors, or that which it was in the their translation, woolen, made from wool. So I was kind of more under the impression that most of the tunics back then were either they were fine linen, woolen for fancy things, or regular tunics, which were, from what I understand, made more from skins to work in. I mean, it's like the difference between work jeans and dress slacks. So when you think of it that way, Joseph was really out there nan to his brothers. But I don't see any of that now, because he has been humbled down to an extreme point. Sir, he went from up here, now he's a servant. What does Jesus do for us? He's a servant. And will be as we go on. So again, Joseph's giving all credit to God now, which he, even before he discerns dreams, giving it to God. And again, we got to try to put their culture into the way of thinking about what's going on in this Bible, because their thinking and our thinking, Western thinking, are two worlds apart. It's not even close. But I feel totally blessed that the rabbi that I got to hook up with on the internet, and the rabbi that my dad's got hooked up with at his park are the same person. You want to talk about God's work? You want to talk God's working?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, when I looked up, it was, I mean, granted, he's Orthodox, but that's fine. I feel that I have a place now to ask questions, to understand the Torah as it was really meant to be.
You trust him. See what I'm saying? You trust him.
So far he has given me nothing to question, because he is Orthodox, and his answers have been biblical, and he uses their if you want to contact me on
For you.
if you want, I can give you the link to their Shabbat Bible for Old Testament, the Hebrew English translations. So I'd be happy to. So any questions? We're going to get done early today, because next week's going to be we'll make up for it next week. A big chapter. But I figured with everything that was going on that happened this week, people might want to have a little early evening to relax. I appreciate you guys coming. I really do.
I appreciate you.
So,
How much, I was gonna ask, how much time do you spend working on this? I bet you spend a lot of time.
All the time.
yeah, I do. And then I get into
But you
Billy
enjoy
Crone.
it. You
and
enjoy it.
I do.
And that's what makes it, that's why we enjoy it, because we can feel your joy for it, and feel how you feel. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It's never been more important to me. And if you have a chance, Billy Crone has some really awesome video. I mean, he's been doing the occult, and religions every Wednesday since I think the end of 2015. Hinduism, Judaism, and I mean, he's got like, there's some where he's got like 2, 3, 4 pages, which will have like 6 to 12 different sections in them. I don't understand how this man gets anything done between that and his sermons and the artificial and intelligence stuff. I mean, he does basically what I call docu-sermons, because he'll do a sermon on it, and he literally brings video and proof and things where he gets his information from.
He breaks it all down for everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like he's ever reading notes or anything. He's just got it all here. It's all just coming.
But a lot of people don't understand. I don't know if you know his history. He is New Age. He was New Age. And, you know, you get this, oh, well, we have to love each other, blah, 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 blah. And how all these other things, we got to love everybody but the Christians and the Jewish. They want us out of the picture so that they what they think when in the when we get pulled up, they think the earth will be harmonic again. Boy, do they have a rude awakening coming.
It's like the schools. Oh, they're tolerant, very tolerant, except for Christians or Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Muslims, oh yes.
Oh yeah.
I know.
All that.
But you know what?
It's going to come to a screeching halt, and when it does, they're going to say, "What happened?"
When we're all taken up by God, they're going to say, "Oh, look, the aliens came down and took them."
Yeah, right.
Alien deception.
Have it your way.
Yeah.
Have it your way. Yeah.
Don't bother me.
Have it your way.
Did anything happen with the convention this weekend?
Do you know there was actually some people that went to pray?
Well, I know Dennis and Dessa did. They gave sermons, and so did a couple other pastors that I know. And they went, and people were listening to them. They were turning around and listening to them. So
pray a seed got planted.
oh my, yeah, absolutely.
Pray the seed got planted.
Mm-hmm.
So, and anyways, if no questions? Nope. No, maybe so.
What time is it anyway?
Yeah,
It's
Barry,
20
do you
till.
have any more of those cookies?
No, you got them all.
They're all gone.
If there's any sharing to do, you have to do it.
Alright. Okay. Well, we're going to pray out so you guys can get a break, because I know this has been one busy week for everybody. Some more than others. But anyways, Heavenly Father, thank you for your word. And we pray that this helps put the seed that brings people closer to you to understand that this is the history of Jesus. This is the history of the Jewish people. This is the history of everybody. Everybody, even those who worship others. That unfortunately, God, please help them understand there is only one way to you, and that is through your Son, Jesus, who laid his blood and his life for us. And though we don't deserve it, Lord, thank you so much. And Heavenly Father, those who are sick, those who need you, those who have been pulled and tossed and are just ripped every direction, let them find solid ground in you. Because once we turn to you, once we learn to forgive what happened in our past, because what's in our past is in our past. And if we lay blame, we are being unforgiven. And to be unforgiving, we're unforgiven. And God, we don't want to do that, because you forgave us for some things that we don't even understand how bad they were. So Father, take our honest and humble hearts that we love you and thank you, and bring healing to those who need healing, and reach out and just help us. In Jesus' mighty, wonderful name, amen.
Amen.